All right, today we're putting on our detective hats and grabbing our virtual magnifying glasses. We're about to go on a full-blown archaeological investigation, right into the heart of one of the world's oldest cities. Why? To uncover the lasting mark that the Roman Empire left on the streets and the very stones of Jerusalem.
Just take a look at this. I mean, the detail is absolutely stunning, isn't it? You've got these layered arches, the ornate columns. It just feels timeless. But here's the thing. Architecture like this doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It has a story, a lineage. So you have to ask, where did this architectural DNA even come from?
And that's really the big mystery we're tackling. If these ancient stones could actually talk, what stories would they tell us about the powerful empire that completely reshaped the city almost 2,000 years ago? Okay, let's dive in and become architectural detectives together.
Now, with any mystery, the first thing you have to do is understand the scene of the crime. And in Jerusalem, the scene is, well, it's complex. You're not looking at a single story, but a whole series of layers, built one right on top of the other.
This timeline really gives you a sense of just how deep the history goes here. You've got Canaanite, Jewish, Byzantine, Islamic, and Crusader influences. I mean, everyone left their mark. But we're going to focus our investigation right here, on the Roman era, a period of just massive transformation that went on for nearly 400 years. So what this all means is that Jerusalem's unique character comes from this incredible convergence of cultures. We're going to peel back all those layers to focus on one of the most foundational ones, the Roman one, a layer that would become the blueprint for centuries to come.
And that brings us to our first major clue. See, the Romans didn't just add a few new buildings to Jerusalem. Nope. They fundamentally redesigned its entire layout. They literally imposed a new order on the city.
Now, what's so interesting here is that this map shows us a classic Roman signature move. They took this ancient, winding city and just stamped a logical, orderly grid system right on top of it. This wasn't just about efficiency, making it easier to get around. This was a clear statement of control. It was a power move, a way to make a foreign land feel distinctly Roman. And this new grid? It revolved around two main arteries. You had the Cardo Maximus, which ran north to south, and the Decumanus Maximus, running east to west. These weren't just streets. They were the new heart of the city, the spine around which all future development would be built. So we've seen the big picture blueprint. Now let's zoom in. Let's get our magnifying glasses out and look for the specific, undeniable architectural fingerprints that Roman builders left all over the city. Okay, our first fingerprint is just sheer scale. The stones on the left are from an earlier period. They're impressive, for sure, but notice the variation in size and shape. Now look to the right. That is the Roman touch. This hugeness, this use of massive, perfectly cut uniform stone blocks, this was a physical demonstration of engineering ambition and imperial power. And our next clue, well, it's impossible to miss. It's the language of the empire itself. Finding Latin carved directly into the stone of the city is like finding a maker's mark. It's an official stamp saying Rome was here. And you have to understand, these inscriptions weren't just decorative. Not at all. They were public declarations of power. They often dedicated monuments and buildings to emperors, like Hadrian, which basically turned a structure into a piece of imperial propaganda. It sent a very clear message. Rome is here, and we're here to stay. The Roman fingerprint can even be found right under your feet. These distinct, patterned slab stones, the use of mosaic pavements, this brought a very specific Roman style into public squares and private homes. It literally changed the texture of the city from the ground up. And this influence, it went way beyond just grand architecture. It seeped into the daily lives and even the final rituals of the people living in Roman Jerusalem. It really was a whole way of being written in stone. Grand archways like this one became these iconic features of the city. But they weren't just gates. They were also ceremonial, triumphal arches. They turned the very streets into a kind of stage for Roman life and power. And believe it or not, this Roman influence extended all the way into death. These intricately carved stone sarcophagi became a really common burial practice for the city's elite, which just goes to show you how deeply Roman customs were integrated into the local culture. So we've found the clues, we've identified the fingerprints, and this leads us to the final part of our investigation. The big question: what is the lasting legacy of this Roman lair? Did it just vanish over time? Well, the answer is actually the most fascinating part of this whole story. Here's the key takeaway, the big reveal. The Roman architecture? It was never erased. Instead, it was absorbed, repurposed. The civilizations that came later, Byzantine, Islamic, and Crusader, they literally built their world on top of the Roman foundation. Let me show you exactly how this works. We'll start with a classic Roman structure, the remains of Hadrian's Gate. Just look at its form. It was built as this grand, triumphal arch, a powerful symbol of Roman victory and dominance. Okay, now let's fast forward a few centuries. Look again at these colonnades from a later period. Do you see the echoes? That systematic use of layered arches and supportive columns. That's the Roman architectural DNA. It's still there, but it's been adapted. It's evolved into a new, magnificent style. And this image right here, it just illustrates the final result so perfectly. You're literally looking at history in layers. The Roman blueprint, its stones, and its styles are all still visible today, completely intertwined with the rich tapestry of later Christian and Islamic construction that defines the city we see. So the story of Jerusalem really is written in its walls. Each stone is like a word, and each arch is a sentence. And by learning to spot these architectural clues, the huge stones, the Latin inscriptions, the classic arches, we can actually learn to read that epic history for ourselves. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. We've been architectural detectives in Jerusalem today, but this way of seeing, you can apply it anywhere. So next time you're walking around, maybe in your own city, look a little closer. What stories lie hidden in the stones all around you?